Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're brand new. Today I'm going to do a soul contract reading. It's just something that I wanted to try out. I tried it out on myself last week and it worked really well. So I thought let's bring it to the channel. I did have a bit of a back and forth of, oh, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Because soul contracts are very unique to each person, aren't they? But I thought let's give it a go, and it may be something. If I feel like it's like I like it and it's gone well, then it's something that I may do sort of every other week or every few weeks or so. So soul contracts, what are they? I'm still learning about soul contracts, but to my knowledge, it's basically before we come into the human experience, we make an agreement of some of the experiences we're going to have, the lessons we're going to learn, the people we're going to come across, and the family we're going to be born into, soul family as well, because family is not just blood, is it? So it's those sorts of things. So I'm not going to talk too much. I'm going to try and keep an open mind. These are the oracle decks I'm going to be using. So I know this is a tarot deck, the Akashic Tarot, but for me, I use it mainly as an oracle deck, to be honest. That's how it feels to me. I'm probably not going to be using tarot cards for this particular reading. We'll see. If I feel like I need to clarify anything, we'll see. But I think for the most part, this will cover it. So I'm going to get messages from the Sacred Destiny card deck first of all. And I'm going to do a spread. So the first card I want to get is sort of the destiny. What's the destiny within this particular, the person's destiny or main destiny within this soul contract? And I'm not saying that we don't have free will. I absolutely believe in free will, but I do believe in the concept with soul contracts where there are just certain things that are meant for us and certain things that are not within a soul contract. So that's the point. But let's start, as I say, the destiny and like a primary lesson. And this shows up in astrology as well. If you've ever had like a birth chart reading, there will be like certain themes that come up where it's just a lifelong mission. I'll use the word mission that we're on, and then there are other bits and pieces that come into play as well. So destiny, primary lesson, primary experience, primary mission for this particular soul contract, please. So, well, how did I know that was going to come? It was on the bottom of the deck. So we've got success, first of all. And we have, if you bear with me, because it flew across the room, we have forgiveness, which was the one that was on the bottom of the deck before I shuffled. Okay. I also want to look at, we'll call it your essence, or the essence of who you are within this particular soul contract, or the person. Because this is not necessarily going to resonate with everyone, but even if it doesn't resonate with you, you might find it inspiring. And as I say, if I do this type of reading regularly, you might be picked up, your energy might be picked up in one of the other ones. So the essence of the person whose soul contract this is, please. We have happiness and simplicity. I want to look at what the universe has been pushing this person towards, or guiding them towards. You may even find that this, if it doesn't resonate with you specifically, it relates to someone that you know, and it might help you to understand them better. Right, we've got solitude. What the universe has been pushing someone towards is solitude. Okay, interesting. Right, let's have a look at what has been dealt with in the past within this particular soul contract. Protection. Okay, interesting. So I did a meditation before this reading, and one of the themes that came up was protection. And if more things come up that are relevant to the meditation that I did, then I'll say them as they come up. So what's being dealt with in the present within this particular soul contract? I have an itchy leg all of a sudden for some reason. Love, okay. What is going to be dealt with in the future? Wonders. I hate that card. No, I don't hate it. It's just one of the cards that, obviously this deck is pretty self-explanatory. This message, I always have to check the book. No matter how many times I get the card, I always have to check the book for the meaning of this, because it just feels a bit weird to me. Let's look at any guidance in helping the person to fulfill this soul contract, this particular soul contract. Oh, I like that. You've got courage and purification. That came out together. I like that a lot. Right, let's look at let's get the Akashic Tarot involved in this now. So going back to, and if you hate the shuffling, I may put a time. I know it's already too late now, but I'll probably put a timestamp here if you want to skip the shuffling and you just want to get straight into the messages, because I know not everyone likes it, but I just want it to be shown that I'm not just picking cards and making up a story myself in advance. I'm actually doing it as I'm, getting the cards out as I'm doing the reading. Right, so again, going back to the destiny and any primary lessons, primary experience of this particular soul contract, we have Four of Roses, views of the ego. Okay, that makes sense with that forgiveness and even with the success card too, actually. Going back to the essence of the person within this soul contract, we have, if I can actually see it, setting your course and diversity. These are actually very similar cards because there is an element of, well, exploration in both of them, isn't there really? Okay. Let's look again at what the universe has been guiding this the person within this soul contract towards. We have loving elementals and spring, autumn. See the nature themes in these cards here, in those and that. I mean, initially when that solitude card came up, to me, it didn't feel so much like literal cut yourself off from the world type solitude. Well, not all the time anyway, maybe sometime. Possibly to do with connecting to nature and sort of tapping into that, do I even want to say intuitive side? I mean, yes, intuitive side, but cutting out the noise, I think, is the like a key theme. I think is what I would say with that solitude card. Let's look again at the what's been dealt with in the past within the soul contract, with that protection card being there. We have clearing the way. That makes sense with that one, actually, with what the universe has been guiding someone towards. Okay. Let's look at the love card, which was the present, what's being dealt with in the present within the soul contract. Two again, we have the Ark of the Covenant and Uriel and the Sphinx. Could be something about self-love with this. Self-love and also learning about how one relates to others and the types of relationships. Let's look at Wonders, the future. So what may be dealt with in the future? We have the War of the Roses and the Queen of Keys. And finally, the guidance to help the person to fulfill the soul contract. I'm going to try that again because they just kind of spit themselves out in a really weird way. I have to be honest, I used the Akashic Tarot when I I think I used it when I did this reading for myself, but I'm not really feeling it right now. I'm not going to lie. Sacred Destiny, perfect. The Akashic Tarot, I don't know about this. So if I do this reading again, it'll probably be another, I'll be using something else to go with the Sacred Destiny. I like Sacred Destiny because it's Sacred Destiny, isn't it? But yeah, the Akashic Tarot isn't, I don't know how I feel about it right now. So try that one more time. Right, the guidance for the person whose soul contract this is. Oh, it came back out. This one came out and I put it back in the deck and it flew out again. So this is correct. The Muse. Right. Okay. And I was saying I'm probably not going to use tarot for this, but I might use tarot for this. I almost feel like I should have scrapped the Akashic Tarot and just used an actual tarot deck instead. So actually that's not what I wanted to look at, is it? I wanted to look at this first of all, the primary destiny, the main destiny of the person here. So we've got forgiveness, we've got success, and we've got ego, views of the ego, it is a card about ego, isn't it? How do I want to say this without insulting anyone? There might be, for this person, for the person within this soul contract, and it's coming up again. I'll be honest, when I did my meditation, fire energy came up. Within that meditation, there were some pretty unusual things that came up, and fire energy came up. So Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. You can see there's a bit of red going on here as well. And it's almost making me think of kind of along the lines of the shadowy side of, say, we'll say more Leo and Aries, where sometimes there can be a bit of pride, overconfidence, arrogance, being headstrong, that type of energy. So part of the destiny of the person whose soul contract this is, there might be a need to sort of address anything within the ego where the ego becomes a bit inflated. So that can be different things. One of the things, you've got forgiveness. So that can be where, you know, like if you are someone who, when you have a disagreement with somebody, even if you're wrong, which would sometimes we're wrong, sometimes we're right, aren't we? You might be someone who finds it really hard to admit when you're wrong. You might just be like, nope, I'm right. Whether I'm right or wrong, I'm right. You may be someone who finds it really hard to forgive people. And obviously we can't force ourselves to forgive people. And sometimes situations happen in life where we may never forgive people. You know, some things that happen that are so extreme that it's just like, you know what, I wish I could, but I just can't. Then you've got the success card. So with the success card being there and then the ego thing being there, this could relate to someone in this soul contract being very highly ambitious and highly driven, but to the point where sometimes it can be a little bit ruthless. And then sometimes when someone's really, like, say if you've got a workaholic, they can be so focused on their work that they neglect other things in their life, whether it be friends, family members, their health even, you know. So those might be things to watch out for, with the ego kind of theme being there. So I'm going to leave that there. So yeah, that looks like a primary, I wouldn't say that's someone's destiny so much. Well, it could be, yeah, becoming more forgiving and maybe a little bit more humble might be part of someone's destiny. But I'd say it feels more along the lines of a particular lesson that someone has to learn, in terms of balancing the ego out. So we'll put that there. Let's look at the essence of the person within this soul contract. So we've got happiness and simplicity. So overall, I would say this, with happiness and simplicity being there, it would be someone who's naturally probably quite positive, to be honest. And that brings me to, you know, like what would you call it? Because you've got the shadow side. What do you call the other side? So like Sagittarius energy, you know, like Sagittarius in its highest energy is like a happy-go-lucky, You know, they're always quite positive and cheerful. Not to say that anybody can or should be like that 24/7, because life is life, shit happens, and we can't all be sunshine and rainbows 24/7, but kind of a happy-go-lucky kind of person where they enjoy simple pleasures, things like that. So that's the essence. And then you've got freedom. The setting your course card, for me, it feels like a card of freedom and opportunity. Again, that's kind of, it's Jupiter. It's Sagittarius and Jupiter are connected, aren't they? I think that Jupiter rules Sagittarius. Yeah, so freedom and opportunity, it feels like, with this setting your course card, and then with the diversity card, it's a card of exploration. That is Sagittarius. So I really feel like fire is relevant here. Fire, it could potentially be a fire sign or someone who has strong fire energy in their chart, whether it is sun, moon, rising, north node. The north node is in Aries. I believe it's still in Aries at present. I can't imagine this being, well, it's, you never know, but for someone with this type of energies, it's hard to imagine someone who's like a traditional, it has like a traditional kind of family, you know, the however many kids and a 9 to 5, a typical 9 to 5. It feels more like someone who's more does their own thing, you know what I mean? They enjoy their freedom, they enjoy getting on with things and not being tied down to things. That's what that kind of feels like. And as I say, someone I would say who is quite naturally optimistic. So it definitely isn't me. But yeah, someone who's quite naturally optimistic. That's the essence of who this person is. So what's the universe been guiding the person towards? So we got solitude, and I pointed out that there was a big nature theme in here. In the images in the cards, you've got loving elementals. That is a real playful, again, it's a free energy. It's a very free energy. And we have the spring and autumn cards. Let me just have a look at that spring autumn one a bit more closely. I think the universe is guiding this person. Again, this relates to that whole ego thing. There is a thing about tapping into nature and what's natural. I'm not sure how I need to express what I'm thinking here, but okay, one way of putting it, or one example of putting it, is, you know, like if somebody is highly driven and ambitious, we typically, as just as a stereotype, associate that kind of personality with people who can be materialistic, don't we? That's something that we can associate with that type of energy. And there's sort of a theme here of kind of going back to nature, cutting out the noise, because you'd probably associate people who are quite ambitious and they're always on the go, that there might be more of an extrovert as well, so needing to be around, liking being around people 24/7, and you know, that kind of energy. So it might be encouraging the person to sort of tap into nature more, tap into their natural side more, sort of see who they are when they're not, you know, discover who they are when they're not around other people, you know, being comfortable in their own company, if that makes sense. Okay. Right, so I'll leave that one there. There's something about devices and stuff like that here as well. If this person within this soul contract is very much into devices and electronics 24/7, and constantly needs stimulation, they may be being pushed towards sort of being still, you know. Like it doesn't have to be meditation, but you know how, I mean, I've said for years that I can't meditate, and it's like I've only just kind of managed to tap into that side of myself that can meditate now. It's tapping into the getting rid of the noise, cutting the noise out, and sort of getting comfortable with in your own skin, in your own company, without needing all the stimulation around. So yeah, let's look at what's been dealt with in this soul contract in the past. So we've got protection and we've got clearing the way, which is a card. It is a card of It's overcoming challenges. It's cutting out things that are blocking your path. I think I'm gonna get a top couple of can't even speak now. Get a couple of tarot cards for this one, just to see if there's anything specific that comes up with it. Let's have a look, because I can see the protection and clearing certain things out of the way, but I just want to see if it'll tell us specifically how this well, you've got the Six of Cups, so that's just it is a past energy anyway, so it's clearing. So one thing that would be dealt with is clearing out things from the past, which is just something we all do, isn't it? We clear out things that we've learned from the past. Sorry, not learned from the past, but experiences that we've had. Sometimes we have to clear the murky residue of things that have happened in the past. Is there anything else? Thought patterns. With the Eight of Swords, any thought patterns, like negative thoughts or anything that's felt restrictive to us. And in doing that, we learn how to protect ourselves better, don't we? Like boundaries, for example, with people. If we haven't had the strongest boundaries with certain people or in certain situations, hopefully as we progress, we learn how to set those boundaries and protect ourselves, don't we? And clear those things out. Is there anything else? Four of Wands. Four of Wands for me, it can be about security, foundations. Let's get one after that. For this particular soul contract, there may be something about someone's home life growing up, potentially, where it didn't feel stable or secure. And they've had to learn to create that sense of security and stability themselves. Just get one more for that. They're all coming out in reverse for some reason. We've got the Six of Swords. That's just moving on from that, isn't it? Okay. So the key things I picked out here in terms of clearing out things from the past. As with most people, there are things from childhood that you need to clear out. So I've picked up particular thought patterns, anything that's felt restrictive. As I say, something about home life and not having a insecure or unstable home life, whether that is physically, materialistically. It could be relating to parents separating. It could be in terms of responsibilities that someone had as well. Maybe someone, like if you have older siblings and the older siblings have to take on responsibility of younger siblings, or if the again, financial issues, there's just more pressure on siblings to look after each other. Let's get one more after that Six of Swords. There's something about protecting someone's peace here. So the word arguments is coming up. So I don't know if somebody's if this particular soul contract, someone had in their home life, there are a lot of arguments. Let's get one more. So that part of the soul contract is like a bit of a challenging, or it could be a very challenging childhood or home life when they were a kid. And then you have the Ace of Pentacles. So it just shows someone being able to move on from the things from the past, the childhood, etc., to go towards to create their own new opportunities, learn to protect themselves so that they can move on and move forward and create new opportunities and their own life. Let's look at what's being dealt with in the present within this soul contract. So I've got love, which, as I said, connecting with this up here, stuff to do with the ego. I think I did mention something about relationships and how one connects with people and relates to people. So you've got the Ark of the Covenant, which for me, it's a card relating to, it's just growth in general, life growth. I think I mentioned self-love. Uriel and the Sphinx for me, it's a card of self-discovery. So I just stand by what I said pretty much. In the present, it's learning about self-love, and that doesn't mean the person doesn't have self-love in general, but there can be deeper levels of that to explore, and different layers of yourself to learn about, different parts of yourself, sides of yourself. Obviously, if you grow, you change as well, so there's more to learn. But as I say, self-love, but also in relation to how you connect with others. And I am going to get tarot cards on that because I'm being nosy. I just want to see if anything specific comes up for that. So you've got the Knight of Wands. Oh, I want to say it and I don't want to say it because it's coming up. Let's get one more and then I'll... Ace of Wands. The Star. High Priestess. There's so much fire energy in this, I swear. And as I say, in my meditation, there was a lot of red, and there was a literal message around someone being a firefighter and being protective, being a protector. It feels like, even though it doesn't literally say it here, in the present, it's something about balancing out someone's will, desire, passions. I feel like saying selfishness sometimes, even with the spiritual side of things. I think that's the for the person who soul contract is, that is the point at the minute, is balancing all of that out through self-discovery. And I mean, the Knight of Wands, there can be a few different ways of seeing that. That can be about discovery in general, but obviously the Knight of Wands does have that kind of frivolous side where they're kind of headstrong and just want to go off and do their own thing. And but I like this, how we get the progression from the Knight of Wands to the King of Wands as we go through. So it's like it's progression, it's maturity, it's maturing. As I said, balancing things out, isn't it? Balancing out the spiritual side of things and maturing more into that King of Wands energy, where there's a sense of, it's still someone who's driven and ambitious, but there's a greater sense of responsibility there as well. And I'd say more focus, because the Knight of Wands is unfocused, but this might, as I say, this might connect more. It is self, within the self, but it might connect with how the person relates to others as well. So I'll put those out of the way. Let's look at what's coming up in the future within this soul contract. So you've got Wonders, which I'm going to have to look in the book because I just, for the life of me, can never remember what that's about. I think it's along the lines of miracle type energy. We've got the Queen of Keys, successful woman, and the War of the Roses, personal conflict. So that is, it can be internal conflicts, but I get the feeling it's connected to others as well, and that ego, going back to that ego thing. Let's look at Wonders. There is a separate card for miracles in here, but I think the Wonders one is similar. So it says, the sacred landscape wants you to know, just around the corner, exciting possibilities are waiting for you. Wonders will be abounding in your life. Sometimes they won't be apparent at first. Nevertheless, they are there. The more you see them and embrace them, the more these possibilities will grow in magnitude. Celebrate and cherish even the smaller ones, no matter how tiny they may seem. Let go of expectations. Don't limit the way that you think that wondrous events could appear in your life. Be open. If you believe, anything and everything is possible. So success, the word success has come up twice in this, hasn't it? Because success is under here as well. It gives the impression that somebody's view of what success is may transform a little bit as well within this, and even possibly their view of what ambition is might change a little bit too. Let's get some tarot on that. It might be that one thing someone has, the person whose soul contract this is, needs to consider is, I mean, I already said what success and ambition means to them. If this is someone who may feel like they need to prove themselves, or there is their views in terms of ambition and success are more based on what society deems to be ambitious and successful, this person might be discovering what feels more naturally like success and ambition to them. And I think for the most part, most of us, at least at some point in our lives, it's a bit of conformity, isn't it? Or we do things for acceptance. You know, we it's just the way we're brought up for the most part. And then as you get older, you learn more about who you are, and you realize what you do vibe with and what you don't vibe with. That is a really weird way of putting it, but what makes sense to you and what feels right for you, and that in the future, that's something that could be coming up here. But let's get a few tarot cards. So when it says wonders, it's just like, you know, like what you thought you would find to be amazing, or what you would consider to be a miracle or successful or ambitious in your 20s, is once you in your 40s or 50s, it's completely different. It's that kind of vibe. It's giving that kind of vibe. It's just that you learn more about yourself and who you are and what feels authentic. You got a protection vibe again with this Nine of Wands. Six of Wands, it's a card of success, isn't it? And then the Emperor, and that's Aries, and there's so much fire again with these cards. I swear, if you relate to this, resonate with this soul contract, or if you know someone who resonates with this soul contract and they're a fire sign, please let me know in the comments, because I'm intrigued, and just, you know, let us know what sign they are, especially if it's a fire sign. So as I say, Nine of Wands, Six of Wands, Emperor. Let's get one more. There's that transforming energy with the Death card there, and the Three of Cups. It really looks like that change out of transforming out of, as I said, is pretty much what I just said, where whatever this person deemed to be ambitious or successful in the past, it might change, and there's more focus on the relationships, emotional connections, even possibly, and support. With it showing up as someone who looks like they've had a difficult childhood, obviously there's going to be a need to feel protective, for a person to feel protective towards themselves if they've had that experience, haven't they? But then that can lead to, when someone grows up, that they don't really let anybody in, or they feel like they have to do everything on their own. And I'd mentioned something about someone trying to prove themselves, feeling like they have to prove themselves. I'm getting a bit of that vibe from the Six of Wands as well. And you know, like sometimes when people have had a shitty childhood, or if they've had people in their family that have kind of bullied them or something, or just made them feel a bit like shit, they can tend to grow up feeling like they have to prove that they can succeed by themselves, and to show everybody that they made it, you know. I'm getting a little bit of that kind of vibe. But as I say, it's almost like it transforms and the focus changes. It becomes, I don't know, there's something more harmonious about it, and that the whole success and stuff it's not as big of a deal necessarily. Like there are other things that are more important. Okay, I'm going to leave that particular part there, and I'm going to move on to any guidance to help fulfill this contract. this soul contract. So we've got purification and courage, which purification, transformation, we mentioned the ego already, that purification can come into that. Courage for me would be, as a message, would be to face these things. It's not easy to face. It's not easy to face your past. It's not easy to face your shadows. It's not easy to transform. It takes courage. We have the muse here, inspiration. So I'm going to get a bit of clarity on that. I mean, initially I would say whatever shadows there are here, which, as I say, can be that ego related stuff. It's a need to be inspired to purify that. And as a lot of readers, and not just readers but people who are involved in this spiritual stuff, will say, the point is not that you completely get rid of the ego, like you don't kill the ego off. It's just that we naturally have an ego, and it's getting it into balance, which I think, did I mention that at the beginning? I think I did. It's getting the ego into balance. So it's purifying, putting that ego through a process of purification, so that when it comes out of the other side, it's healthier. Let's get, as I say, let's get some tarot cards for that. I feel like I want to do another soul contract reading after this one, but without the Akashic Tarot, just to see. I think I might do that. Right. The Hierophant is there. So to me, that's the need for purification. And again, going back to where I said that whole thing about conformity, if someone has felt like they, like, as we all do at some point in our lives, feel like well, most of us anyway, feel like needing to conform to prove something. Sorry, try that again. Nine of Swords. The first thing that came out with that is guilt. Maybe regret as well. Let's see what else comes after that. And there's something about, there might be something here for someone not wanting to appear to be weak as well. And a need to purify any thoughts about what makes people seem weak. You know, like sometimes we can be pretty hard, well, some of us can be hard on ourselves, and you kind of live in guilt and put yourself down easily. And then that projects out as well, doesn't it? So like, you know, like some people don't feel like people shouldn't cry because it's a sign of weakness, that sort of thing. So that might be something from someone's childhood that needs to be addressed. There's a card of balancing things out with that Two of Pentacles, again, balancing out the ego. And that is a part of the ego. Negative self-talk is an ego related, like the ego in its sort of shadow side. And I will point out, right, Seven of Cups and the Three of Swords, that is what needs to be looked at. The root, if there is an ego, well, there is an ego related issue, it's looking at the root of how that came about, looking at the different perspectives of how that came about. What's the old story or the pain that caused the ego to develop in that way, to become more of a shadow side. What was the point I was going to make? I think I've lost it. Oh, I was going to make a point that sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes when some people, not all, are highly optimistic and positive, it's a bit of a mask, because not everybody wants to deal with the negatives in life, do they? So they like overcompensate by with, you know, they don't want to show sadness, so it's always got to be highly optimistic and positive, and sort of refusing to acknowledge the darker side of life, basically the sadness, when we are feeling that we're weaker, if you want to put it that way. So yeah, right, I'll leave it there. I'm gonna get one more card of guidance to fulfill this spiritual contract from the postcards from Spirit. And as I say, I think I will do another soul contract reading, just because I enjoy it, but I'm not using Akashic Tarot to do it again. I'll use a different deck this time. So, any other guidance to help fulfill this particular soul contract, please? Right, we have I like this. This is connected to that Wonders card. This one is connected to the Wonders card. So it says, dearest you, if you can read that, pump up the music, bang the drums, get on up and start that hustle towards your goals and dreams. There are times to be still, but this is not one of them. Now is the time to make that first move. Say yes to life, pick up the phone, make that decision and take that one step towards the gods or us. Expect a cascade of changes, good news and opportunities to show up as if by magic. Well, we know it's really spirit and all of us moving things around for your benefit. The point is that we are saying go for it. Take positive action toward your dreams, even if the outcome isn't an exact fit for your agenda. It will all be orchestrated by spirit and arrive in divine appropriate timing. Don't you just love how it all works? We love you so much. So I said, I already feel this is quite an ambitious, driven person. I think the key point here, as I said, in connecting with that Wonders card, because the Wonders is like, it's where things happen for the better, like good things happen, but it might not be exactly how you thought. And as I say, you've got that part about even if the outcome isn't an exact fit for your agenda. I did say that the person here, for this particular soul contract, their views of what success means and ambition means might change. And I think that's where that's relevant. So I'll leave that there. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. I can see that's blurred. And I don't think it's going to fix itself now, is it? Before the end of the reading. Okay, yeah. Thank you for watching. And I hope this was helpful or inspirational in some ways. And if, as I say, if this didn't resonate for you, then maybe the next soul contract reading will. But thanks for watching anyway. Take care.